Hi, my name is Harry T, and welcome to Odejuma. Odejuma recognizes the magic of storytelling, from personal experiences to stories of adventure, from tales of resilience to finding joy in the simple things. This story seeks to inspire, entertain, and educate because there is power in the stories of everyday people, and these stories are worth telling. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Odejuma. I'm pretty excited to be speaking with my guest today. He's an amazing musician, singer, songwriter, rapper, everything all in between. And right now I have 2am Ricky. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, friend?
I'm doing really good. I'm very excited to speak with you. I kind of like got into your music like this year when TDLR dropped. And so I've kind of like been very curious to talk to you about what that journey was like. After I heard the song, obviously went back to listen to the whole discography. And I think it's like you have a very rich and very great discography. I'm like, he should be everywhere. Everybody should be singing the music. And so, yeah, I'm just very curious about, your journey with music. How did you get started? For folks who might not be familiar with you and your work, can you give us a little bit of a background onto
Yeah,
that journey?
yeah. So I have been writing music and wanting to do what I do now, literally as long as I can remember. I I graduated early at 16. So I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And when I went to college, I went to a HBCU, shout out to NCCU, and it was a very rich music culture. So battle rapping, ciphers. We had Ninth Wonder as a professor. And so I was able to really get engulfed in like the history of hip hop and the history of music and how storytelling is like can be vital in bridging that gap. In 2015, my best friend Hezekiah McCoy was murdered on campus. And so my first real leap of faith into music was creating a mixtape that as you listen, it explored the story of what happened to him from my perspective. But my engineer was also able to get recordings of Kaya and allow him to narrate it. And from releasing Hiatus, which was the mixtape, from then I've just continued on this journey of storytelling, of advocacy through my music and seeing the power of how it's healed people, how it's connected people, and how it's also brought awareness to conversations that seem a little taboo.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry about, the loss of your friend. How did that experience shape you just as a person in general to lose someone, really close and dear to you?
It was very difficult. The way Kaya passed was very traumatic. He was murdered in his dorm room. And so I feel like the day that he passed, which was September 10th in 2015, I feel like I kind of lost a part of myself. But Kaya was also very supportive of my careers, very supportive of my transition. He was always manifesting that, you're going to be this artist and you're going to do all these things. And you're going to live in your truth and you're going to teach other people how to be authentically themselves. And you're not really going to give a damn. And at that point, I didn't really see that for myself. That wasn't me and my personality, but he did. And so in his passing, I've been very intentional of making sure that I reach all of those milestones, not only for myself, but for him as well.
Awesome. That's beautiful to hear. And you're doing that like I see your work on social media, like you're very involved in community, but you're also really like putting out like really great music as well. So I'm very sure like you'll be very proud of the work that you're doing. I'm very curious about like the name 2am Ricky. What's the story behind that?
So it is a double meaning. One, around 2 a.m. was the last time that I heard from Hezekiah, the day that he passed. And the day that he passed was the only time in our friendship we had never seen each other or talked to each other. His number, he was a football player, was 22. And so everybody called us twins. So I was two. My other reading was I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandma used to say the only thing open at 2 in the morning is minds and legs. So when people encounter me, I either want to open up your mind and make you think, or I want to open up your legs and make you move to the music. Don't get your mind cluttered.
I was like, okay, where are we heading with this? But
Where's this
I don't,
going?
we don't judge here. Yeah. Okay, cool. I love that. I really love that. And I feel like your music is very genre bending. Are you like stuck on like, okay, this is the genre of music I'm doing? Or is it very expansive? How would you describe like your sound creatively?
My sound is definitely very expansive. I would say that it is a perfect blend of soul, funk, and alternative hip hop. I try to lean more of a feeling that I give people than try to box myself into a genre because I don't really fit into one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like people are there is a reflecting just on a general perspective? There's a need for people to fit people's music into a particular box or so. Do you feel like you encounter that as you have been exploring your music so far? How do you deal with that expectation?
I think that although there are people who feel like, people should only fit into one genre, people should only stay in one style, we saw just all the chaos that happened with Beyonce trying to just go into different acts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that at its core, music is a form of communication. That's what it's always been. And so, yes, genres are good when you're trying to make a playlist or you're trying to give an award or something like that. But overall, I think that people should be able to be fluid in their sound and in their feeling.
Okay. Okay, I can respect that. You do a lot of community work and you're also doing music as well. Do you feel like sometimes you have to sacrifice one for the other? Or have you figured out a perfect way to blend both of that work in general?
There are times that it's difficult because people are always quick to be like, "Oh, he's just a rapper. He's just a, entertainer." And they only want to hear you when you got a mic in your hand. But
Mhm.
I think that for me to show up as 2 a.m. Ricky, it would be impossible for me to do that without being an advocate because of the support system and the fan base that I do have. My advocacy comes from wanting to speak up for the people who support me who often don't get to speak up for themselves. And so I try to utilize my platform to bridge the intersection of what entertainment and advocacy looks like, but also to make sure that a lot of underrepresented voices and stories can be heard, whether it's through song or me just going on stage and behind the scenes kind of sparking conversations that are intentional.
Okay. Okay, that's real. And then I think a way that you do that, I think, is with like your House of Move
Yes.
work. Can you talk about that for our listeners a little bit? What is House of Move about?
Yes, so House of Move is the inaugural songwriting camp that I'm doing through the Move initiative. So last year I released Move. It went number 3 on the iTunes electronic charts, which made me the first Black trans man to ever top iTunes charts. And as much as that was a historical moment, I also experienced a lot of the erasure of the influence of Black artists, the influence of trans artists into music and music culture. And so I wanted to create the Move initiative so that those BIPOC, queer, and trans creative can not only feel supported musically with opportunities, with networking spaces, but also holistically. How are you taking care of your mental health? How are you receiving resources and making sure that they're much more well rounded? So, House of Move is a 3-day sync songwriting camp that I'm doing with Blaze Unlimited Creative Agency, where the select group of talented artists will come in. They'll work with Grammy winning engineers, producers. They'll cook up records for sync placements. They'll have master classes by leading experts. So we have the Recording Academy coming and Diane Durrett. We have Tammy Latrell and Mezzo Agency. We have music supervisors from LVRN and Tyler Perry Studios and all these different places. And overall, they're also going to be able to be provided a resource directory. So how can I find people who can help me get my wellness in check? How can I find access to prep resources? How can I find mental health professionals that are catered to our community?
That's real. It feels like you are bringing everybody along with you as you're going through this journey. That's really cool to witness. Do you feel like there are folks like when you were starting out your journey musically that also were there in helping guide you through to be able to find your space in the music scene, where they're like artists or producers or just people in the industry in general that you would say were very pivotal in that journey for you?
Yes. So my mentor is actually CC Peniston. So shout out to CC. Yes, he has been pivotal in helping me navigate and helping me understand my place in the industry and honestly owning my power. I think that's one of the biggest things that she always preaches to me is that like there's a power in what you carry and who you are and your influence and your reach and your power to touch others and inspire others. And when you're able to hone that power, you're able to pour that back into other people. So CC is definitely very pivotal in my career, in my personal life, and I just love her so much.
Yeah, and the single with Sissy Peniston was like, kind of like a breakout single, if I must say. How did that collaboration come about?
So the record with CC Peniston, which is called What You Want, if y'all have not heard it, make sure y'all go check it out. CC and I connected in like 2020, 2019.
Mm,
And at that time, I was a young artist trying to navigate my space in the industry, but also navigate what does it look like to be a trans artist in urban music, specifically a trans man, in a time and culture where there also wasn't a lot of representation for us. So I was a lot of people's first introduction that
mhm,
trans men do exist. Fortunately, I went through a space of navigating music execs who weren't accepting and who weren't understanding. And so What You On was a record that I did in a one take, almost kind of like, I want to say like a FU, but kind of like a this is who I am, this is what I represent, and you can't take the queerness out of the artist. You can't. It's just not gonna
mhm.
happen. And I did the record in a one take. I walked out the booth and those execs' jaws dropped. And they called CC Peniston trying to give my record to CC. And she's heard the first 30 seconds and was like, I love it, I want it. And I had no idea who was on the phone. And I was like, I don't know who that is, but you can't have it. And she's like, I love
That is interesting.
And she looked at me through the FaceTime and was like, "You don't know." And I was like, "Oh my God." But from that moment, she one respected that. She said it takes a lot of bravery to speak up for yourself in that space and to be
Yeah.
bold enough to own that. And from there, she was like, from that point, I don't want to take that from you, but I want to work on this with you.
Mm.
And we had a beautiful relationship and friendship ever since. She literally calls me nephew. That's my favorite auntie.
That is awesome. And that's pretty awesome, man. Shout out to Cece Peniston, and just, the icon that she is. Which has me a little bit curious also about like your creative process. So you did that song in one take. When you hear a beat, when someone gives you like, a piece of a track, how do you write? What's your writing, your creative process like? Do you need to go be in Zen mode for a while? Do you need to, go out, take like a 2-day hiatus? Like what does that look like for you, your creative process?
Yeah, so I feel like there are lots of great beats and lots of great production, but not every production gives you a feeling, right? And
Mm,
I feel like people that little flutter, that little thing that makes people like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? When they hear that beat and when they hear that cadence, that's what I look for. And so
mm,
I will spend honestly searching through beats, searching through production, even creating my own production until I get that feeling. And once I get that, it's more so just flowing through melodies, flowing through sounds. I'll
yeah.
have 8 tracks of mush mouth. It might not make sense, but I'm
Yeah.
able to go back and build off of what is that feeling? What story do I hear? Or what words do I hear when I hear that? When I'm writing, because I do a lot of vocal arrangement and songwriting for other artists as well. And so when I'm working with other artists, I like to just have conversations with them. I don't want them to go in and feel like I gotta come up with the strongest first bar. I
Mm,
gotta ask them to just take the artistry out and put the human in the seat and tell me about your
yeah.
day. Tell me what you're thinking about. Tell me who pissed you off today. Did that boy not
Mm,
text you back? Ooh, what'd he say? You know what I mean? Like, let's pull the real things that you are really dealing with that you feel like the world doesn't need to know, because that's going to be the thing that we're going to write about today.
mm. Okay. You should host a masterclass.
2026 coming. They're coming.
Okay, okay. Shout out to that. And speaking of like another song that I really like is Move.
Yeah.
Which is a popular, obviously one of your popular songs already. Love the video, love the vibe of Move. How did Move come about?
Yeah, so Move features the amazing Godzina. Shout out to Godzina. She's a amazing artist from Miami, Florida. Move came about because Z and I were met in the studio one day. Coincidentally, she walked in and I was in the booth and I was working on it. But Move was a record that also, again, I was in a time and space where I was coming off of the high of having what you want, but I also was going through a low pace where I had developed uterine cancer. And I
Oh, I'm
think that
sorry.
being a trans man, thank you. I think being a trans man navigating a reproductive health issue was very challenging because I dealt with a lot of people who didn't know how to care for me and weren't educated that I was able to even have this diagnosis, right? So when I wrote Move, it was honestly a song of inspiration to myself because I was in a low point where I was tired of life and I was tired of music. But there was something about the art. There was something about my gift that still made me want to get up and move in the morning. It was something that still made me feel a
Mm,
spark and feel alive. And so Move was that song of reminder of motivation for myself that despite what I was physically experiencing, something inside of me still came alive. It still made pretty girls want to dance. It still made people, when I showed up as Ricky and showed up in my light and in my art, no one saw that I was sick. And honestly, no
Mm.
one knew until I was done with recovery.
How was that process like for you, just dealing with navigating something so challenging and still having to show up and put on a brave face and do the work? What was that process like for you?
It was hard. That was definitely one of the loneliest periods of my life that I went through. It was very difficult. I was afraid for my life. I'm afraid for my health. I'm dealing with when you're a trans man, because of taking testosterone, I've been taking T since what 2016, so you're almost 10 years in the game. When you're going through these things and you're getting tested because of my testosterone levels and how things show up chemically because of the chemical imbalance, when you're playing with something like that, like uterine cancer, it's almost like a Russian roulette because some things don't show up on tests because of my testosterone levels. So they could tell you how sick, tell me how that I was sick, but they were having a hard time saying, "Hey, it's stage 2, 3, 4. It's this, and this," until things are escalating. So I think that it made me one get close to God. I'm definitely a very spiritual person. I pray a lot, and it made me do some self reflection of what's really important, what really matters to you. And if you were to leave this world today, what are people going to remember? And I think
Mm,
that was the biggest reason why, outside of honestly shame, because again, I'm a trans man, so I don't want to hear that something's happening with a part of my body that I don't really want or need,
yeah.
but to also see that I might not have had the support that I needed personally to privately take care of that, but I had a lot of support for the impact that I was making musically. And so if I was to have left this earth, I wanted every fan, every person who was moved by What You Want, who was moved by Move and all these other records that I have released to leave and have a sense of joy if something would have happened to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's real. That's real, and that's what happened. You made an impact. You are making an impact. And so that's a good thing. And I'm a little bit curious if you wanna, like, you just talked about something that when we're talking about reproductive health care, a lot of times there's an erasure of the experiences of like trans folks and trans men specifically through that process. How do you want us to, not even not even in, yes, the larger public, but even in queer spaces, how do you want us to have these conversations? Because it's very important to have, because healthcare, reproductive health is healthcare, and so how would you recommend that we approach these conversations in general?
I think one, starting with making sure that there are all faces of representation at the table, right?
Mm,
A lot of times I do a lot of work and I'll go into HIV spaces, but I'll only see MSM, which are men who have sex with men, right? But then that doesn't cover someone like me who is a trans man, but I date women. But I'm still accessible to HIV. I still need PrEP. So I
yeah.
still should be involved in these conversations and spaces. When we look at reproductive health and reproductive justice, when we had the whole debate of, people can have periods and things of that nature, there were conversations of how does that connect with cis women and trans women, but nobody thought about the fact that AFAB people exist. So trans men, non-binary people, our NBC like siblings, we also should deserve a seat at that table. And I think that a lot of times within community, it's so easy for us to be comfortable within our own communal boxes to
Yeah.
not really feel comfortable expanding or be comfortable even asking the questions, right? I
Mm,
think that intentional conversations and intentional questions will take us a long way. I think that also making sure that when people are doing things like sharing resources, sharing marketing materials, going into a doctor's office, making sure that there's all forms of representation. When I was sick, one of the most difficult things that I experienced was walking into an OBGYN and them telling me that I didn't belong to be there
wow.
and having to explain to them, yes, I do. And you might want to get me in the back because we got a problem. But them not even understanding that trans people belong because in every picture in every room, it was only women.
Yeah.
There wasn't even diverse marketing for anyone to see a reflection of themselves when they walked into the room.
Yeah. Yeah. That's real. That's real. And I feel like, for folks who are listening, I think that we can start with like local organizations in our localities, right? Encourage them to be more inclusive in how they have these conversations and how they market these services, not just to one particular group, but for everybody, so everybody can feel included. Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing light and just talking a little bit more about reproductive care and reproductive justice and access for everyone. So thank you for that. I want to talk about go back to like the song that that I discovered you with, TDLR. Can we just talk about that for a minute? That is a really beautiful song. Like I love that song so much. I feel like when Spotify Wrapped comes out, I'm sure it will be somewhere. It will be somewhere there. But talk to me about the song, the inspiration of the song, just a little bit into your creative process for that project, for that particular song.
Uh, TDLR is so special. It is fun. It's the first record that y'all have heard that I did co-production on. Most times y'all never hear my production. So shout
Mm,
out to Clayco, me, Clayco, Magic Monroe. The three of us collaborated on that record together. With TDLR is a lead single off of my new upcoming album. It's called Don't Forget to Call. So y'all will get that next year. Make sure y'all look
okay.
out for that. And I wanted a record that felt like Freaknik but modern. So it was
Mm.
actually inspired about the story of how my parents met, right? My dad was a security guard at a club. His homeboy was trying to holler at my mama's best friend, and my mama was just loudmouth in the car. And the story cracks me up. My dad is gonna curse me out when he sees this interview because he's always like, "Don't tell people that."
It's a more than love story.
It's a modern day love story, okay?
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted. I wanted something that felt authentic. I wanted something that felt like a modern day Freaknik, but because of the theme of the album and how the album is very much so diving into my own story, I wanted y'all to know, well, how the hell did I get here? She brought her ass and got on the floor. And you might as well too. I feel
Mm.
like we've been in this last year has been hard. Like everybody has been stressed. It's so much sadness going on in the world. There's so much violence going on in the world that I think that we just needed something that felt refreshing, that reminded us to live, to laugh, and to dance a little bit. And that's what I feel like TDLR gives everyone.
Yeah, it's the perfect song to dance to vibe to. Great job with the song. We're gonna get a music video for the song. I know there's another single out now that we're gonna talk about as well, but is there a chance for a music video for the song?
There will be visuals for the records on the album.
Okay, okay. So we're expecting a whole visual project with
Yes.
accompanying the album. Okay, cool. Okay,
So we
that's
don't
good.
forget we're working on an actual visual mini documentary that we're turning into a visual album.
Okay. Okay, cool. And the latest single, Love Ain't Rational, another beautiful song, by the way. I love a nice, chill, a song like, I don't want to be very imaginative, but it's the kind of song where if your life was a movie and you were like, you may be driving down the highway or something, that's the song that's playing, or you just get back from work and you're trying to have like a self-care day, and you light a candle. I feel like that's the song feels like a very chill self-care roses. It's I don't know how to explain it, but that's how I feel when I hear the song. It's such a beautiful chill vibe. So talk about Love Irrational a little bit
Yeah.
and the inspiration behind that one as well.
Shout out to Ari Lachelle. My girl Ari Lachelle is on Love Ain't Rational with me. Love Ain't Rational is honestly one of my favorite records on the entire album. I'm not gonna lie. It was a beautiful record to write. I think that you all get a sense of my vulnerability in the lyrics, right? I think that you're able to also kind of hear a more intimate side of me and a more intimate perspective to how I view life, how I view love. And Loving Rational was inspired by the contradictions of love that we all experience, the nuances that we
Mm.
all have to go through, whether it's healthy relationships or unhealthy relationships, where it's somebody we ain't got no business being with, but we're gonna do anything for them and we're gonna stick beside them. Whether it's friends, platonic relationships that, you know what I mean, that they just, there's a strain on it, but for whatever way, it still feels like a good balance to you. I wanted to flow and explore those nuances and have a conversation with myself. Self love was definitely a way that you can view it with people that I've loved in my life, the previous women who I may have dated or encountered, and even with people who honestly are deep fans of me, right? It's a love letter to y'all, quite transparently,
Mm.
that, there are times where I would rather be able to be my authentic self with them. I'd rather always be able to give and pour, respond to every DM, and call everybody back that tries to Instagram call me, which is weird, but but I don't always have that capacity to.
Yeah.
And it's not rational, but y'all love me anyways, and I love y'all too.
Uh, yeah, it's such a beautiful song. Like, it really is. And if folks, if you're listed, I'm gonna link the music in the description so you can check it out. But yeah, shout out to you for that. And I'm curious, would you call yourself a lover boy? And is that like, because I feel like that's the vibe I'm starting to get from from what you're saying. Would you call yourself a lover boy?
I am a lover boy. I make music for the lonely and the lovers.
Okay.
A lot of the people y'all will see me say, listen if you're lonely, or when you come to my shows, we call it the lonely experience. And I'll play on that because I feel like although there are a lot of lovers in the world and everybody wants to be a lover boy, I feel like we all are lonely somewhere. And I think that that loneliness is honestly the piece that connects us all, not love. You find you
Mm.
get you get trauma bonded to people because of your loneliness, not because of your love. You make friends with people when you're in a low place because of your loneliness, not because of love.
Mm.
And so I try to connect to the lonely and love them through it.
Okay. Okay, that's real. That's real. I'm waiting for that masterclass link because it's like there's a masterclass on life and masterclass on music. Either way, Tuya Enrique got you. In that
Houston
way.
University, class of 2026.
Shout out to that. What is the thing that you want people to experience and feel when they hear your music? When anybody puts on a record, or sees a music video or sees you perform live, what is the experience you want them to have?
When people encounter me, whether it's musically, whether it's seeing us perform live, I want people to walk away, one, wanting to have a conversation. I want whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you feel to make you do a little bit of self reflection. I think that's my ultimate goal. I think that I want people to be inspired to be their most authentic self. And I want them to be inspired to explore the conversations that they need to be able to get there.
That's real. That's real. Thank you for sharing that. We do have like a fun rapid fire piece of the podcast where we ask like some rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit. So the first one is, what are the top 3 songs on your playlist right now?
The top 3 songs on my playlist right now is "She Lives in My Life" by Outkast.
Okay.
"She Lives in My Life" by Outkast is number 1. I have been listening to myself. "Love Ain't Rational" is number 2.
Hmm. As you should.
As I should. Ooh, what is my number 3? I've been listening to "Lockdown" by Anderson .Paak because what's going on in the world has been inspiring me that maybe we need to go back to that time. So I've been listening.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, cool. Who are the 3 artists that you would want to collaborate with?
3 artists that I want to collaborate with. I want to collaborate with Dawn Richards. Dawn is amazing. I love her now. So me and Dawn have got to work together at some point in life.
Mhm.
I would love to work with Andre 3000. I think that anyone who hears me, they
Yeah.
hear. And I would love to work with Anderson .Paak. That's another person that I definitely love his aura, his energy, his vibe. He makes me want to go get a bob whip and just, bounce a little bit on stage.
Yeah. The Sabak will be in Minneapolis DJ in next month or so. I'm excited to go for that show. I think it's gonna be like a good time for sure. So excited to see him do that. If you could headline any stage in the world, any festival or big like concert, what stage would you want to headline?
I want to headline. I know I can't headline it because it's his festival, so he's always going to be his headliner. I would love to co-headline Kent Flognaw. I love Tyler, the Creator. I love
Okay.
him so much. I
Okay.
think that from his branding to his music to his authenticity to his business acumen is very inspiring. So I would love to do Kent Flognaw.
Okay. Okay, cool. If there are like 3 TV shows right now currently airing that you would want your song to be on the soundtrack, what shows would that be?
Ooh. I had 3 shows because I just got a recent placement, so if y'all have not already, go check out the recent episode of Love After Lockup. You'll hear myself and Brianna Shoko with Karma.
Okay.
3 shows I could get my music on. I would say gosh, I got a lot of placements. That's a good question. That's a great question because I got a lot of placements. Black Orphan because 'cause I'm watching that show right now. I don't know why.
Okay.
Love Island because I'm so tired of hearing about it, but I can't break my social addiction like everybody else in the
Okay.
world right now.
Okay. That's real.
And I would love to do music for an animated series. So I would love to do a cartoon.
Okay. Okay,
And
cool.
I don't really care what it is. I love cartoons. So I would love to do a soundtrack for an animated series.
Okay. Okay, cool. What is your self-care practice? So you've been working all week, you want to just chill and unwind, what you gonna do?
Ooh. So self-care practices, one, I love tea and meditation. I have like a routine of like I don't talk to the world before a certain amount of time. The only person who can get through to me is my mama. And
Mhm.
she call me at 9:30.
That's real. Okay.
But I also enjoy working out. I think that working out is relaxing. I love video games. So I will sit on my couch and I will play The Sims or whatever random game makes me feel like
Mhm.
I cannot have to think about anything and just press buttons.
Yeah.
And also nature. So I will go out, sit outside and I will touch some grass. I'm real country like that.
Shout out to that. I think people need to touch grass right now with the way the world is going. We need to go out more and just engage with each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our final rapid fire question is, what is your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is I am addicted to sneakers. I have an
Mm,
entire wall of sneakers. I am the ultimate sneakerhead. I'm
okay.
addicted to sneakers. I am a lover of goldfish. I know
Oh,
that sounds so random, but I'm like a 4-year-old toddler. I love goldfish.
do you have any in like your apartment in your house or something? Do you have like a aquarium with some goldfish in there or?
No, no, not like the fish, like the actual snack,
Oh,
like a four. That's
oh, that's what I.
I'm addicted to goldfish, friend. Y'all ever want to give me some snacks? Send me some goldfish.
Okay, okay. Those are good snacks though. Goldfish is a good snack, so I'm not even mad at it at all.
The cheddar blast, please, come on.
Yeah, yeah, that's real. Okay, cool. So we know what to get you for a gift or for like a self-care package.
You goldfish, if y'all listening, Pepperidge Farm, sponsor me.
Okay, shout out to that. It's been such a great conversation with you, just learning about like, your journey and everything that you've been able to accomplish and that you want to accomplish. But, as we wrap up, I want to find out like what in like 10, 15 years from now, where do you want 2 a.m. Ricky to be and to have achieved like music?
So when I see myself 10 years from now, I see myself being a mogul within the industry. I don't want to just only stay within a box of music. I want to expand the Move initiative to be able to be a global thing that can help artists around the world. I want to expand my advocacy and be able to partner. Like right now, I work with City of Atlanta. I work with State Representative Park Cannon. I'm on the board for the Recording Academy. So I want to really expand what does diversity and equity look like for entertainment? And how can people really authentically take that same practice and apply it into health, into repro health, into mental health, into all these spaces. And the same impact that I have on stage, I really want to intentionally make that behind the scenes. I want to see differences in policies. I want to see free and affordable healthcare for entertainers. I want to see us getting equitable pay. My long-term goal, though, beyond that is I actually want to open group homes, which sounds random for someone who's an entertainer. But I lived in a group home. I was bounced around as a child, and I had a period of living in a group home, and it was one of the most traumatic experiences I've ever had. They were formatted similar to a jail, and I was the only Black child in my home or in my village for about 6 months. And at the time, my lyrics would be used as contraband. So the same way a person would break into somebody's cell if you're in prison and you
Yeah,
tear your room apart and take your things, they would do
yeah.
that to me at 10, 11, 12 years old and
Oh
rip up my
wow.
and so experiencing that at this time, if you can't open no windows, you can't open no doors, you can't live, right? It
Yeah.
was traumatizing. It definitely gave a sense of PTSD. And I don't want any other child to experience that. So my goal is to be able to take all the knowledge, all the philanthropy, all the acumens, and then be able to open group homes that these children are not only able to live and thrive, but they're able to have their gifts and their talents and their crafts nourished. So if you're interested in,
Uh,
there's a facility there and professionals and experts there prepared to help you hone those skills. If you're a
yeah,
computer science person, there are people who are there to hone those skills so that
yeah,
by the time that they reach 18 and they're ready to age out, they don't end up in a situation where most of my peers ended up in, where there was no one for them. There was nowhere for them to go. They have the skills, the resources, and the network to help them get those letters of recommendation, to help them figure out how do we get into college. And if college is not something for them, how do we jumpstart a career so that we don't feel like we're walking backwards?
yeah, yeah. And thank you for sharing that. That's like really that that would be a very great initiative. Just a little bit curious about like how having that experience, how has that like shaped you just as a person now? Because that must have been hard.
It was definitely very hard. As a person, I think that it's made me be very sheltered. I think people are
Mm,
always surprised when they meet me in person because I tell people all the time, 2 a.m. Ricky is a job. Like the liveliness that y'all will see on stage, it switches off when I take
yeah,
that
yeah.
inner back off. And I'm very to myself. I'm very kind of like an introverted or extroverted introvert. Where I'm like forced to be extroverted, but I'm very, very closed. I'll sit in a corner, mind my business, and have a ball. And so I
Mm,
think that it's made it so personally, I'm very reserved. And I
yeah.
think parts of my personality that might have been damaged or forced to be withheld during that time is the parts that y'all get to see when 2 a.m. Ricky comes alive.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate you opening up like that and sharing for young Black queer folks who want to go into music and do what you're doing. Do you have like any advice for them?
My biggest piece of advice that I would give anyone is no one can believe in yourself more than you believe in you. And a no from the world means nothing unless it's a no from God. And if he gives you
Mm,
the gift, he probably ain't gonna say no to you because he gave it to you for a reason. So
yeah,
reminding yourself of that and not allowing hurdles and obstacles and stigma and chaos to knock you off course is going to be vital to being successful. The hardest part of my job is not having people want to like my music. It's not finding someone to listen to my music. It's being able to keep my whole mind, body, and spirit and stay true to myself despite the things that happen behind the scenes within the world and within entertainment.
that's real. Thank you so much for sharing and for being open. I'm pretty excited about the future. The album is coming next year, you say?
Yes. So it's
Yes.
called Don't Forget to Call. And also y'all actually will be getting my phone number. So y'all look out because I'm dropping my number to y'all next week. Y'all gonna get it. Y'all can text me. You can call me and I'm gonna call you back. So don't say nothing crazy. If you do, I'm gonna answer and say friend.
Yeah, so expecting the album. Any other major projects are gonna drop before the album? Any tour stops that we can look out for?
Yes. So this weekend, which it'll be past by the time they'll see this, but this weekend I will be in Memphis, Tennessee, for the Southern Trans celebration. They have Trans Pride in Memphis going on. So I'll be out there with We Care Tennessee. And then October 11th, all right, 5 p.m. Because we
Okay.
coming on at 5:20. So don't y'all be late. 5
Okay.
on the October 11th, myself, my band, The Break of Dawn, we will be at Atlanta Pride main stage. Pull up to Piedmont Park. We have a phenomenal set for y'all. We got 30 minutes of going crazy. I don't know if you saw my recent post that I put up on Instagram, but I actually showed a teaser of us running through sound check for the show. And that
Mm.
alone is something you might want to see. Make sure y'all are at Atlanta. I'm telling y'all pull up at 5 because I know y'all gotta, get your snacks, get your tent, put up all those things. Just go ahead and get cozy, pull up a chair, bring your friends, and we're gonna have a great time.
Awesome. Thank you to Ricky. And for folks who are listening, appreciate you staying on and here and hanging out with us today. I'm gonna share the links to check out to Enrique's music, videos, Spotify, Apple Music in the description. So click and get acquainted. It's like really great stuff. I'm very appreciative. Until I see you next time, Odejuma.